And the CrownCast continues. Football finalists is the theme on this week's CrownCast, the novice CrownCast. It's Chris Honorado, and it's the head coach of Fonda-Fultonville, Mike Mancini. Made it all the way out to Syracuse, the Dome, which everybody in New York State knows. That's where you hold the football state championships. Not easy to get out there. Awfully difficult to win a game out there, as well as any team from any section will tell you. But Mike, you guys had such a great year, man. Thanks for doing the pod here. Does it wear off? How quickly would you expect it to wear off? You are a football guy. What would your dad tell you? What would your uncle tell you about a tough loss? When does it go away?
Well, thanks for having me. It's hard right now. It was a great season.
No doubt.
Really enjoyed it. Super enjoyable. Great experience for our kids. Tremendous accomplishment for our team and for our program. Obviously something we've never done.
Right.
But when you lose a game, it doesn't matter, if it's the regular season or not. You're always playing the what if game. And, you run through all those different scenarios in your head. And, what if we made this catch? What if we made this tackle? What if we, held onto the ball here? Whatever it may be. You always do that in your head. And the hard part about doing it at this time, in this moment, in this situation is that it's over with. There's finality to it. We lost to Schuylerville week 0, and we kind of were like, let's go play. Who cares? It doesn't really matter. There's one division. We got an entire season in front of us. It's only going to make us better. And we lost that game, and it was a heartbreaking loss. But at the same time, we had, 8 more weeks in front of us to just get better and keep working. And now it's over with these guys, and there's no chance to kind of get back and do that as we did earlier in the season.
So at Novice, claim your crown is the slogan, the mantra. You guys are sectional champs, regional champs. Obviously, you still have that goal of state champs set in front of you. But as I'm listening to you talk here from a coach's perspective, because you've been there as a player where you have a tough loss, right? And you maybe lean on teammates or coaches to motivate you forward. You talk about the 8 weeks you had after Schuylerville. When does the disappointment turn to fuel, motivation for next year? Even, you're going to obviously lose some guys, right? How do you then push forward with the guys coming back where it isn't disappointment anymore? It becomes motivation.
It's hard right now because it's Wednesday and we just finished the game on Saturday, and it was a big one. So I think that, give it a little bit more time than usual. I'd say by the time I get to Christmas, I'll hopefully forget about it at least a little bit.
So you're not even at the point, right? Like, I know you and I were just messaging on Twitter, like you're not, maybe you are. Can you appreciate what you've done? Because you said it in passing, like, hey, never been there before as a program. So can you appreciate what you were able to do?
Oh, absolutely. But it's just like, the competitive side of things and, how the game played, it's hard right now. It's definitely hard. Again, like never been there before. And talking to a lot of guys, I talked to John Bone a lot. I talked to Joe Whipple a little bit, a couple other coaches along the way, the head coach from O'Neill that we played against the week prior. And they all said the same thing, like, hey, it's really hard when you get there. Just make sure you enjoy it. And Ian texted me after his game, as we were in transit to our game. And we just kind of did a little quick exchange. And I was like, hey, great season. And he's like, hey, just make sure you enjoy it. Make sure you kind of just take a minute and soak it in. And that was one thing that I tried to do just before we got rolling a little bit. We did our pregame warm-up, which was really brief. Went back in the tunnel. They did the team introductions. And just before I went out, I just kind of stopped and just kind of like looked at the crowd and just tried to listen the best that I could at just the deafening sound. And, that it's so weird because when you're in there, it just holds the sound in. So it's hard to tell where it's coming from. And it was just cool to see our crowd and our community and our school represented the way that it was. I talked to, I don't know if you remember him, Jim Kramer, who was at Schenectady for a little while. He went over to Utica College for a couple years, and then he took over at New Hartford. Well, we did some stuff with them in the off season, and then the first week of the season, we did a little practice with them together. And he sent me a message after the game was over with, because I think he goes out there pretty frequently with his son. And he watched the game, and he said that was the most impressive crowd that he's seen at one of those games in a long time. So it was pretty cool. It was a great environment. Both teams were extremely enthusiastic, excited, because it was both schools' first time at the Dome playing for a state championship. So it was awesome, man. It was really awesome. But again, it's fresh. The wounds are fresh.
Yeah. All right. I want to put a pin in something, and hopefully my brain will allow me to come back to it. But I love that you recognize the effect or impact that this football season had on the community. You know me, I'm not on the sidelines anymore. I miss it, but I'm a sports guy, sports person, right? I believe in the power of sports and competition and what it can do for a town, no matter the size. What was it like to be on that ride and to walk through the halls or be in town where somebody always had a word about the football season you guys were having, and then obviously seeing it come together at the Dome with an incredible fan base?
It just seemed like it was this crescendo all year. I think there was a lot. The last 2 years, we've had really good teams. We've had really good groups, and we've just, we've run into a good team, Schuylerville, twice in the last 2 years, and they've been great games. And I think there was a lot of hype at the beginning of the season this year that, hey, this is the year we're going to get Schuylerville. And I say that with respect, because I have a tremendous amount of respect for their program, for John, Jack Berger, and all the things that they've done throughout the course of their career. And they're kind of like at the present, they were kind of like the measuring stick. And again, back to like the first game of the year, I told our coaching staff, and they didn't like hearing it because they want to win. And some of them are a little nuts. I mean, I'm nuts during the game, right? But they're a little bit nuts too. And I said, listen, at the end of the day, I don't really care what happens in the Schuylerville game week 0, because this to me is like the old school Big Ten matchup, Amsterdam against Troy. And at the end of the year, Amsterdam was playing for the Class A championship and Troy was playing for the AA championship.
Right.
Sometimes they both went to the Dome. A lot of times Troy ended up going and playing for a state championship. I said, so what Jack Berger did at Troy was kind of like our model. Like, we're going to run our stuff. We're not going to try to do some elaborate things. We, obviously we are a little bit different than most high schools in terms of what we do in our offensive scheme. But that was kind of our mindset, or mine at least, and our coaching staff, after we didn't come out on the right end of it in week 0, I think our coaching staff was like, yeah, I get it. I understand. That's what we want to do. And that was kind of our approach. And you could feel it in our community too. I've grown up here my entire life. I'm 40 years old. My dad was a coach here for 20 some odd years. I played for him. I was a manager for him. I could remember games in the late 80s, early 90s when I was sitting on the sideline. And it was really cool over the course of the season, because the more we won and the closer we got, and, we getting ready for the Schuylerville game, it was a lot of the guys that played in the last like 2 or 3 years are like, Coach, we can't wait. We're coming to the game. We can't wait to see what you guys do. We're confident we're going to win this one. And I was like, I love it, fellas. And if you watch the game, we're not supposed to have people run out on the field, but there's like 20 guys that played for us probably in the last like 2 or 3 seasons that hopped the fence and they ran out on the field at the end of the game to celebrate. So that was really cool. And then after that game, it was like all the guys that had played in the last probably like 15, 20 years, they were starting to hammer me with texts and emails. And then we got to the state semifinal and we got to the Dome, and it was like everybody came out. Everybody came out of the woodwork. I had friends that one of my best friends who played wide receiver for me when I was in high school, he lives out in Arizona. He was trying to find a flight back to Syracuse, but he couldn't do it. He's got a little girl, so he couldn't fly back for the game on Saturday. One of my good friends that played with me, he was a senior when I was a freshman, and his parents were teachers here at school, and we were very close. He flew in from Florida to watch the game. And that was, my brother drove from 5 hours away in Connecticut. I had people driving in from all over in Massachusetts and New Jersey. Guy who was a New York State Player of the Year for my father in the early 90s drove up twice. He drove 3 hours to Middletown. He drove 3.5 hours to Syracuse just to watch our game. So like the community support was tremendous. I think we probably had 2,500 people, maybe 3,000 people at the game, which been to a lot of games and I don't remember any game like that. And it was pretty cool. They did a big parade for our kids on Friday before we left to go practice and end the school day. So that was cool. My son's in kindergarten here, so I got to bring him on the walk with us too, and he was high-fiving and doing all that stuff. So he liked it for a little bit because he saw his buddies, and once he got through that and he started seeing all the middle school and high school kids that he didn't know, he was like, I think I'm okay. This can be over with now, Dad. But he went along and he did the march with us. So that was pretty cool too. It was really great. Our administrative team was awesome. The school spirit was awesome. The entire elementary school had signs that they had created throughout the course of the week that they were flashing when we were walking around. So it was an experience, man. It was definitely a great thing. Again, the whole experience was something that is awesome. Really happy about. It'll take me a little while to get over the game though.
All right, I got just a couple more things here, man. I'll let you run. You and I are the same age. How do you stand in front of a group of teenagers who you daily have witnessed pour themselves into this season, hoping for that final crown, if you will, that championship, come up short? What do you say?
I just told them I loved them. I don't know if you've seen me on the sidelines. I get yelled at a lot by a lot of people. My mother told me, she's like, you're going to have a stroke out there. I said, what do you want me to do? I said, that's in my blood. That's how I'm brought up. That's what your husband did for 30 years. My assistant coaches jokingly say that there's Mike and then there's game day Mike. And they just make all the, they pay more attention to me on the sideline and my antics than sometimes what I ask them to do during the football game. So I'm a pretty emotional person. And I'm very animated. I'm Italian. I talk with my hands a lot. So that definitely came out. It was hard too because you end the season normally and you have at least a couple days before they kick off their next sports season. So we ended on Saturday. Sunday, I didn't want to talk to them. Nobody wanted to talk on Sunday after that. And then Monday we get to school and they're off to basketball and wrestling and indoor track and whatever else they have going on. So it was really difficult to try to organize all the end of the year things that you need to organize, but at the same time, just address them and just tell them how much fun you had with them this year, how appreciative you are to all the effort, especially the seniors that they've put into the program, how much it means to not just me, because it does, because obviously I'm going to be around for a little while, but to the kids that are coming up through, to the community, to the school. And no, you just address them. I told them I loved them and I'm excited for what they did. I'm excited to see what they do in the future, because at the end of the day, this is high school football. I want them to walk away with something. I'm glad that they had the experience, but I hope that they walk away with, a lesson that they can use in life that, hey, look, life's hard. You might get to the top of the mountain and you might think I'm there. And then all of a sudden, it comes crashing down underneath you. And then you got to start all over again. And that's kind of where we're at right now. So we'll get there. I was emotional on the Google Meet with my team, and all throughout the meet, there were some tears shed between all of us, and obviously some tears in the locker room afterwards, but a lot of pride and a lot of great memories and things that all of us, involved in it will take with us for a lifetime. So pretty cool.
And lastly, Coach, look, a high school football team could order jerseys and gear from anybody. But you chose a local company.
Yep.
Again, with that mantra, claim your crown. What makes the relationship, the partnership with NOVUS work for Fonda-Fultonville?
We started working with them in 2019. An alum of ours who was a volunteer assistant on our staff, his name's Zach Shaw, reached out and said to these guys, hey, can you give me some mock-ups on apparel? These coaches want something. We had a new coaching staff. I had been here for a long time. I had taken a year off. Sean Thompson took over the program in 2019, and he put me in charge of all that stuff. He's like, I don't want to deal with that. He's like, you find whatever you want and then bring it to me. So I told Zach, I said, do you have any ideas? He's like, I got a great guy, because we wanted jackets and we wanted some outerwear and stuff. He's like, I'll show you what I have. Tell me if you like it. And we showed me a sample. I was like, love it. Let's order it. So we got our stuff, really liked it. And then obviously we got hit with COVID. And then we came back in 2021, and Zach unfortunately couldn't coach with us anymore. So I said, give me the numbers to the guys down there. I was like, I'll just talk to them, so you don't have to do it and I don't have to bother you. And I started talking with Nick Bernardo, and Nick was great, extremely helpful. And, we did a little bit with them. I think we've done a couple stores with them. Oh. And then we did one last year, and I jokingly told Nick at the end of the year, I was like, hold on, I'll show you.
All right.
So I got this right here, this quarter zip pullover. That was my sideline gear. Okay. And after the Schuylerville game, and I don't know how this happens, after the Schuylerville game at home last year in the sectional semifinals, they beat us in overtime. We clean up the field. And it was a nice night. It was like 60, 65 degrees. That was a beautiful night. And I didn't put it on. And it was on the sideline, and it was gone. So Nick texts me, and we go back and forth, and I'm like, dude, I lost my pullover. He's like, that sucks. He's like, we'll put one on the store next year. I said, perfect. Sounds good. And then I said, do you guys do uniforms? I said, we're in the market for some new uniforms. I said, I'd love to, mess around with some ideas. And I went down there around Thanksgiving time, and we talked, and they were having a little team Thanksgiving meal down there. Nick offered me a turkey leg, and I said, no, thanks. I appreciate it though. And we just started talking about some ideas that we had. I had some suggestions and, some college uniforms that I thought were pretty cool, and I would like to kind of mimic them, not, mirror image, but something close to that. And he said, sure, let's do it. So we went back and forth a little bit, and then probably sometime around Christmas, we were able to take care of all that, and we put it in, and we got some samples. Our kids tried it on, and they were great. And, we just went from there. And then all the name change thing kind of changed the game for not just our program, because we weren't going to put Braves and put any of the logos or anything like that on our uniform, because I just didn't want to I didn't want to rock the boat with that and potentially have to buy new uniforms again the following year. So we just put FF on there and, put our numbers and did our color mock-up and everything. And then I was talking with my athletic director, because I had a budget, and I said to him, hey, I said, I'm under the budget. I said, what do you think about me getting 3 jerseys and have an alternate jersey? He's like, I'll let you get an alternate pant, but we can't do the alternate jersey because everybody will be mad. So, but I might buy an alternate jersey next year just because we have some cash. But he said, how much? He's like, I can't believe how cost effective they were and how good their stuff is. And he said, do they do other uniforms? And I reached out to Nick, and Nick was just like, yeah, we do pretty much everything. He's like, what are you looking for? So I texted him. I said, here's what we got. I said, here's our athletic director's email. And we ended up doing a massive uniform haul with them. And it worked out great. Our school's extremely happy with everything so far.
Cool.
We had a couple little jersey snafus in the fall with it being football, you know.
I heard.
And yeah, and they were awesome. Like within like a couple days, we had a couple replacements, and they were just tremendous. And I think that's the big thing. Like at the end of the day, you know, the big picture is that you want people that are going to service what your needs are, and they are local. I have no problem driving down to Latham. You know, I live in Ballston Spa, so it's a short trip for me if I'm at home or if I'm traveling home. So it's easy, and they're easy to get a hold of. I've been texting with Nick all morning because I want to talk about a couple things that I want to do here now that the season's wrapped up. So, you know, you don't get that with a big corporate company that, you know, is more in it for the money than they are for, you know, the service and the product. You know, they're selling you 10 different brands, and they don't really care at the end of the day what you're getting, as long as you're hitting the numbers that they're looking for. And, you know, these guys aren't really like that. I know some people have ordered, you know, through their stores before, and, you know, they didn't get something, it was forgot, or they missed something, or maybe there was like a little rip, and they're like, send you a new one. Don't worry about it. They're awesome. Like they're just tremendous people, and they do great business, and they have great products, and we love them. So we'll keep using them. And definitely like their motto. You know, I saw Nick right after our sectional final against Schuylerville, and that's the first thing he said to me. It's like, you claimed it. I was like, yeah, you did, man.
And now you keep saying
Troy High School.
Schuylerville was a standard. You've set your own standard now, man. And sometimes I hear coaches say, like, hey, we are the victims of our own success. The bar is going to be high next year. But
yeah, that's the hard part, man. That's the hard part about this is, it's like, you know, you hear Nick Saban talk about it. It's easy to stalk your prey. It's hard when you're the prey. So, you know, now we're the ones with the bullseye on our back now, and, you know, everybody's gunning for us, and it'll be a new challenge, and we look forward to it. You know, it's definitely something that we've been striving for a long time, and we haven't been in this position. So, you know, we've always been the hunter. Now we'll be the hunted, and we'll see how it goes. We'll go after it.
Coach, thanks for doing the CrownCast, man. It was fun catching up with you. I was one of those people who came out of the woodwork and shot you a quick message on Twitter before your game. So we're always watching from afar, even if you don't see us on the sideline. Ash and I we're always keeping tabs, man. So congrats on such a great season, and onward and upward, man. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having me, and I appreciate all the support and everything that you guys do, and everything that NOVUS does.